Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with the daily technical update. It is Friday and it is the 17th of January. Today we'll start with with Apple that got hammered yesterday, more than 4%, dropping lower, and you were warned with the pattern here on the weekly chart with the doji evening pattern, doji evening star pattern, like top and reversal. Divergence were there, and sell-off has continued after a little bit of a bounce. 221 could be reached fairly soon, but it could drop all the way down to around 214 level. Just to at least get some traction the other way, or it needs to get back above 239, but that it probably won't help it much. It seems like in a free fall at the moment. On the overall index as S&P 500, and let's just zoom in on the weekly here. Well, it's still holding on here in the cloud area. Still negative sentiment on the other side. We are in a bearish trend, short-term corrective phase here. If it can close back above the cloud, well, then there's potential to resume uptrend, and we will see that play out if we can get back above 6,000. On Nasdaq 100, see it's trading in this falling channel-like pattern here, this flag pattern, as we will call it. We are above the cloud, we are above 55 moving average, and RSI is now broken bullish out of its falling wedge-like pattern. Still positive sentiment, no divergence, indicating we could see higher levels, but it will be a struggle. I want to see it break above the upper falling trend line before I call higher levels on that. So a little bit divergence between Nasdaq and the S&P 500, to be honest. Dow Jones resistance 43,374. If it can close above that, then I think we could see uptrend will resume. And if we can get RSI back above 60 threshold, then it will be confirmed. European markets has been strong lately, and we have the EuroStoxx50 very close to its all-time high, and I think we'll see it making a new all-time high, pushing higher here. Again yesterday, RSI positive sentiment, no divergence, indicating likely higher levels on the European equities, and here pre-market we are up pushing a little bit higher again here, so maybe today could be the day where it closes higher on EuroStoxx50. The DAX already made new all-time highs 2 days in a row, pushing higher. Now there's building up a little bit divergence, but we need to have a top and reversal pattern in place before I call the top, and we still don't have that. Pushing a little bit higher here this early morning, and again, trend is your friend, higher highs and higher lows, indicating likely higher levels on the European markets. Euro dollar got rejected at 103.50 here the other day, couldn't even touch the upper falling trend line. There's still chance it will do it, so we are a little bit in a limbo here. We have downtrend exhaustion in the terms of in the form of divergence on the RSI. You can see the values are rising where the market declined. If it takes out the peak here from the other day here around 103.50, then I think we'll see a push up to the 61.8 at 104.50-60 level. But it is struggling a little bit, and medium term we are still in a bearish trend. Cable sterling dollar is pushing lower this morning. Couldn't even get up to the 38.2 retracement 123.70. If it takes out 121 once again, then I think we'll see cable dropping lower towards 120 and potentially all down to 118.5 area. Euro sterling, on the other hand, well, it is in a bullish trend here short term, and if it takes out the peak here at 84.45 once again, well, and I think it will, then we are on the road to 85.5, 86 potential, and testing this upper falling trend line here on the weekly chart seems to be in the cards, and also up to the 100 and 200 moving average on the weekly that's coming down there. Dollar yen broke yesterday down below the 155.95 support, trading around 38.2, retracement 154.97. If it takes out that, well, then we are looking at 61.8 retracement and the 200 moving average around 152.5. If it can crawl back above 155.95, well, then we are in a bit of neutral situation. But there is a risk that we will see lower levels here on dollar yen. So keep an eye on that. Also, the 55 moving average will give a little bit of support, and RSI is still in a positive sentiment. If RSI breaks below and close below 40 threshold, well, then expect lower levels on dollar yen. Euro yen. Well, Euro yen is testing 159.80 support at the moment. If it breaks below it, well, then there's potential low to lower levels. And what we can do, we can add Fibonacci levels here. Let's see, there we are. Currently around the 61.8, just above the 61.8 retracement. Risk down to the 786 at 158, but that will depend on the RSI if it breaks back below the 40 threshold. Moving on to Aussie yen, that is in a bearish trend. We have confirmed that several days ago, trying to get back above the rising trend line there, but sold off again yesterday. And we are down fairly soon. I think we'll be down to the lows here, and let's just add a bit of a trend line or support line there, 95.5. I think we'll see that being tested fairly soon, and possibly also broken with the potential down to around 94, 93. Sterling yen. Excuse me. Sterling yen also in a sell-off mode, breaking below minor support here at 189.5, 188. The lows here is likely to be tested fairly shortly. You can see all moving average starting to declining. We are below the cloud, negative sentiment on the RSI, and we are likely to see lower levels. And if we are looking at the weekly chart, we can also see, well, it is in around this area. If it takes out 188 here, well, then there's not really much stopping until around 183.75 around that area. So bearish on most yen pairs, it has turned out to be. Aussie dollar, it's hugging the upper falling trend line here. Can't really get away from it in a strong bounce up towards a 63 and 63.35 area here. If it can't do that, well, then it's a resuming downtrend and it will push lower, but there is divergence on the RSI indicating we should see this correction here. But again, there's nothing given. It's not about certainties here in the market. It's about possibilities. So let's see if what it will do. Will it break up here, or will it resume a downtrend? It's a little bit up in the air at the moment, but we should see a correction larger than that. Dollar Canada bounced off again once again at 143.35, and if it can take out the peak up here at 144.68, well, then uptrend has resumed with potential up to 146 area. There's no divergence on the RSI, and if RSI gets back above 60 threshold and back above the upper falling trend line there, then I think we'll see dollar Canada pushing to higher levels. Sterling Canada, well, they tried to get up to the 38.2 retracement and the 200 moving average around 176.30, but this morning it's been sent back down again. If it takes out 174.58, hit the lows here from last week or earlier this week, well, then we're looking at 173 level on Sterling Canada. EuroSwiss is still, yeah. It seems like it's faltering a little bit. It's sliding just sideways here. Still in a bullish trend, however, in this ascending triangle-like pattern. But if it takes out the rising trend line here, and especially if it take out the 93.35, then I think we'll see downtrend to be established, and it will push lower. But for now, there's still potential up to 94.50 resistance level and possibly up to 95. And the positive sentiment on the RSI is telling us that, but picture can change. On the dollar Swiss correction, well, it's still in the making. So we could still drop to the 38.2 retracement at 90. 20 level, and then a bounce, because currently we are below the rising trend line. It's merely a guideline, but we are below the rising trend line. However, if it starts taking out, let's remove this one, if it starts pushing towards the 92 again, well, then there is potential higher, as we can see here on the weekly, to 92.45 and 94 area. The dollar index looks almost similar to the dollar Swiss. The correction was a little bit deeper, almost down to the 38.2, still above the rising trend line here, starting to push higher this morning. Let's see if it's going to hold. There's potential up to 111 if it takes out the 110. Which I think it will eventually, and the first clue about that, or indication about that, could be if it breaks above the upper falling trend line there on the daily chart, then we're likely to see high levels on the dollar index. Gold pushed higher again yesterday, testing the previous peak here and resistance at 21.22. We can see the peak here was 27.26, and yesterday also it was just around 27.25. So maybe we can adjust this a little bit. Say we have a resistance there here around 27.26. However, now we do have the RSI above the 60 threshold, confirming the bullish trends, or further confirming the bullish trend. We had it all the time: higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and now a higher high again. If it breaks above this level here, well, then there's potential up to 2800, and it supports my view of much higher levels on the on the gold going into 2025. And what we can also say is, well, we have this symmetrical like pattern here. So if we measure the from the peak to, or from the right there, and we measure that distance, well, then we could add that to the breakout price here, and then we are looking at potentially 29.50 going forward here. So that's something to look out for. Let's just adjust that one a little bit. So that's the rule of thumb. It will potentially not at that move at that long. Silver also crawling higher here, but struggling around the 100 moving average that is virtually flat, and the 55 dragging a little bit on it. And we have RSI still in a negative. It got rejected at 60 threshold. So I think maybe we could see a little bit of a setback, and then we'll try again. Copper, on the other hand, is in a bullish mode, and after breaking and closing above 433.50, pushing towards the 450 resistance, and I think we'll test it fairly soon, possibly today. If it closes above, well, then there's potential up to 468, 470. On crude oil, and here we have the WTI crude oil, a little bit of setback yesterday, but if we close the week above 78.46, well, then we have confirmed bullish trend on the weekly too, with potential up to 85, maybe even 90 level after breaking this upper falling trend line here. But as you can see, the 200 weekly moving average giving it a hard time. So maybe we will have a little bit of correction, maybe even more than we saw yesterday. Maybe it will slide back lower a little bit here in the early next week. Let's see about that. The Brent crude oil dancing around the resistance here at 81.58, and you can see why it's such an important one if it closes above on the weekly, and especially if we can get the RSI to close above 60 threshold, that would be key. Then we can see it push up to the peaks there around 88, potentially higher around 90 in the coming weeks and months. Dutch TTF gas, on the other hand, quite volatile, without clear direction on the short term, but on the weekly we are still in a bullish trend despite having a little bit of divergence. We're still in a bullish trend, and if it takes out once again 48.72, the peak there earlier this week, then I think we'll see it push higher towards this level around 54.55. On the Henry Hub natural gas, it closed above the $4, and actually well above $4, $4.30, $4.28, sorry, and in a bullish trend. However, there is a bit of divergence, so it's a little bit stressed at the moment. So be careful. We could see correction, but if it takes out the peak there at 437, well, then I think we'll see a push up to around $495. Yields and US 10-year Treasury yields in a correction mode. It was a bit of a drop it did the other day, and I think we can drop a little bit further to the 786 retracement here at 457, and then I think we'll see a bounce. And because we are medium term, you can see here we are in a bullish trend. It's merely just a correction, I think, before we push higher towards 5%. The two-year also in a corrective mode, very close to test the lower rising trend line there, and then I think we'll see a bounce. We can see it's back below the 200 moving average. So for now, we are in a corrective phase, and that is not as clear as the 10-year, obviously, but we are higher high, higher low, higher high, and higher low. And if it starts turning around, getting back above 430, well, then we are looking at 450 level. Moving on to the European one, here is the Euro 10-year. Sliding back below the 38.2 retracement at 251, could drop to the 61.8 retracement at 243, and then I think we'll see a bounce higher. There is potential higher bullish. Sorry about that. Bullish potential higher medium term. We are in a bullish trend, and this is, I still believe, it's merely just a correction phase we are going through. On the sterling. On the UK 10-year, well, it's currently around the 38.2 retracement of 465. Let's see if it can bounce from down to close this little gap that it has done this morning, or if it will slide lower towards the 450 level. If we adjust this and we say the last leg up here, which we have done with the other ones, well, at the 786 retracement at 460 is right there, very close to, so we could bounce from this level. If it takes out 452, well, then we have a new situation. It's turned around, but I don't believe that will occur. Bitcoin crawling higher, so it's very close to cancel. It's a shoulder-like pattern. If it does move above 102,736, well, then it has been cancelled, and then we can forget about this. Otherwise, it will be a shoulder with two shoulders on each side. But for now, it looks like we are crawling higher. RSI moving back above a 60 threshold at the moment, and if that continues, well, then there's potential much higher for Bitcoin. Ethereum, well, it's struggling after bouncing from 2,900. It really needs to get back above the 55 moving average. I mean, technically, we are in a bearish trend, but it is pausing a little bit. So there's no clear direction on Ethereum. It's like it can't really hold on to or follow the Bitcoin higher. It's still far away from its all-time highs here. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and a nice weekend when you get to there. Talk to you again Monday.